Welcome to today's episode. For those of you just joining the podcast, we are Right Media Group and we help marketing agencies scale their revenue. If you want to learn how to take your agency business to the next level, make sure to stick around. Today, we welcome Shamik Talukder, co-founder of and CEO of BeTagged. Shamik, would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
I run an influencer marketing firm, which is headquartered in Singapore, but has operations worldwide. It's called BeTagged, and it's a full service influencer marketing company, which has a platform and relies on to help brands connect and shortlist finite number of influencers from millions of influencers that are there out there in the social media space based on merit and not anything else. So if we allow to put multiple filters to figure out who would be the best influencers to work with in that particular audience space. So we our operations in Southeast Asia, India, and the United States.
Yeah, like previously when we spoke, you touched point on something that really intrigued me in regards to influencer marketing and not just getting any influencer. You have ways to actually vet that influencer to check if their audience is something that's related to the product that they will be interested to buy in. And I thought that was absolutely great. We will dive deeper into that a little bit later on because it's definitely very, very interesting in the tools and the software you use to vet them influencers. What I really want to find out, Shamik, is you have an impressive 25 years in the media and marketing. So what made you to start Be Tagged?
Well, I was always in media. In the initial days, I was part of television and then radio. In fact, the modernization of the airport advertising in India was something that I spearheaded. So being in media, and at a point in time, I realized that media was not connecting with digital. Things were moving digital, and media was not connecting with digital. And traditional media people were not trying to were not learning what digital was. Change was happening. I saw that change happening, and I happened to be the country head for a music streaming company based out of Cisco, and that's where I got exposed to the global and the global people who were working in digital, and that's where I decided that I think digital is something that I would like to do, and then. I was making, at a certain stage, I was making apps for celebrities. So I worked across 17 countries with the top celebrities across countries, whether it was India, Indonesia, Thailand, US, Europe, and I made which were in the name of those celebrities. And at that stage, I realized that, I also met influencers at that stage. I met brands. And the brands were very keen on doing influencer marketing, but they had absolutely no idea of how. Also, because traditionally the brands were, investing their marketing monies in television, print, outdoor, which were held by a finite number of companies, right? So if you went to television, then you have like 4 or 5 big television groups, and if you just be in touch with them, your television campaign would be done. When it came to influencers, every single influencer was a media on its own. So it was a super fragmented media, and the brands had absolutely no clue because they were not ready to talk to 50 different influencers, to run their campaign. And that's where I saw there was a huge gap, and people were just because the company said we have to do influencer marketing. The marketing manager had no clue how to do it, so they just relied on some um, you know celebrity managers, and they would know that 30 other people, and they would just give those 30 people saying, hey, these are influencers, just go in with them. No research into whether the influencer and their audience were fit with the brand. So any campaign that you have, like, uh, hair care or in the same influencer, same set of influencers who are being rotated. So it was, and because they wanted to do influencer marketing. But then obviously, that's why I realized that there is a huge scope um, in doing this. There is a requirement to you know find out the right influencers and get the brands, and it had already started happening in the United States. It had started happening in Europe, and that's when I realized that Asia wasn't even getting anything on, and even the companies were in US had enough database on in Asia, and that's where I decided that now I made enough celebrity apps now. Let's start on our own and do the influencer marketing. And that's how the journey of BeTagged started.
No, that's great. I mean, like you mentioned, you found a gap in the market, something that wasn't serviced, something that wasn't available. There was cracks. And obviously, I don't know if you heard this from Elon Musk, but the bigger problem you solve, the more you can get paid for it. And you're solving a pretty big problem by connecting businesses to influencers, but not any influencers that matter for their audience and for their product to actually get sales and get results.
I think the bigger problem. The bigger problem is that earlier uh, problem, when you solve the problem, it's sustained for about 10 to 12 to 15 years. Today, you
Mhm.
solve it and it doesn't last beyond 6 months to a year. And then you have a new problem coming up because it's moving so fast. Things are changing. Things are evolving very fast. So you think you've solved a problem, and a year later you realize that it's already become obsolete and you have another problem at hand and you've got to solve it.
Okay.
It's a much more dynamic, and you can't just rest on your laurels like, oh, I've done this, and then I kindly see that whatever that I've done, let's say 5 years back, is of no period. You need to move on and do new things and solve the extended problem. So
Is that what you're focusing on doing now, solving the bigger problem, more long-term problem?
more route, you got to keep thinking what's going to happen 5 years down the line. Because the problem solving is not like you think about today and it will happen tomorrow. No, but it will take time. But if you can think and forecast what is going to happen 5 years down the line, then probably you can start working on a solution right now. And when the problem actually occurs, you have the solution.
Yeah. And you were behind some very iconic, like achievements. Like you've been an Indian Idol. I mean, you've obviously promoted that, which was a absolutely huge success. So can you tell us a bit about the strategy that made it so popular and long lasting?
The style is pretty simple. Then, Ideal as a series was very, very popular. There was no reality show at that time existing in India. Okay. There were a few, like they were not at that scale. And India hadn't seen that kind of reality show where music stars would be born and via audience voting. Singing stars would break in India, but they were not individual pop stars. They were all people who would sing for movies. The movies had music, and
Mm,
that's unlike the
yeah.
West where they're individual pop stars, right? And not really people singing movies, individual pop stars who would do stage shows, who would like a Taylor Swift does right now, like, billions and billions of dollars in one particular tour. So we saw that opportunity, but the cost of doing that in India was huge, which
Mhm.
meant that you had to change not only the cost that the advertisers were paying for the television show, but it also meant that you had to orient the telecom operators to the deal they had. This was a classic case. Like I worked very closely with all the telecom operators, got the deals done because telephony has several premium lines and non-premium lines and all that stuff. But I realized that their bandwidth was still a challenge, and I told them that listen, you got to increase the capacity of the cell towers. But the day Indian Island opened and the day voting started, everything crashed. All the
Oh,
telecom works crashed because there was a surge in voting and they didn't have the capacity. So we had to stop
wow.
literally day one, saying, hang on, pause, because this is not working. And then we went
Yeah.
back to the telecom guy, and they said, okay, we realize that this is a huge thing. And then they started increasing the capacity, cell towers capacity. So
Oh,
in many ways, not just in terms of entertainment, but even in terms of how telephone revenues came into the picture and how, voting came into the picture, how we, and Indian Idol didn't just make money out of sponsorship. It made many money out of telephony revenues as well.
yeah. No, I mean, it's absolutely huge. Like we touched point previously, the Indian market is massive. I mean, like even Netflix is talking about like creating more, like movies that are more tailored to what they are looking for. So probably similar to what you talked about, like Indian Idol, because they like the singing movies, and I think they're very catchy. I watched a few as well in my
Interesting
time.
part is the interesting part is that Indian Idol produced every season produced singing stars. Right? Now those singing stars,
Mhm.
earlier the singing stars were all aware who would work with music directors in and sing in the movies. Now these
Mhm.
Indian idols, the ones which they were ready to do stage shows because they come out of a reality show and they've been doing stage shows, addressing the audience day in, day out. Today, if you look at it, all these Indian influencer, Indian idol stars, they are all making a good amount of money from stage shows across the world. I mean, in day four yesterday, there's this guy from India who was part of Indian Idol. I think season three or season four, season three, I think. He got in touch with me. He says, "Hey, I'm coming to Los Angeles and I'm right now in Argentina." I said, "What are you doing in Argentina?" He says, "There's an Indian community here which invited me and I'm coming here and singing and I'm
Wow, incredible.
making money out of the play." He sang in Argentina to the Indian community, flying to Los Angeles. He's going to sing here some couple of places. So these guys are individual stars who are addressing the Indian community across the globe and
Yeah.
performing. It's stage show stars. That's what There's a new crop of talent which is addressing this, and I think Indian Idol was phenomenal. Right, that it opened up so many new things which India was had never seen before.
Mhm. Mhm. I say maybe some of that can be brought to the West.
West already has that. It was just that a country like India, which had a massive population, massive potential, just didn't have a show like that. Today there are many. Today, I think there's no difference between what's happening in West and what's happening in India. So, but at that, in fact, about year to back 20 years.
Yeah. So, in regarding to the tool that analyzes influencer followers to ensure that brands reach the right audience, can you explain in simple terms how BeTagged helps brands to get clear return on investment from influencer marketing, and specifically by using that tool that we discussed about earlier?
A simple example. Okay, I was talking to one of the Indian states. Who's they did a campaign. This is government, okay, state government.
Oh,
The campaign, which was focusing on women empowerment, and they selected an Indian actress, okay, to
okay.
absolutely fine. I mean, you're choosing an Indian actress to who is it targeted to? It was targeted to the woman, and the campaign failed miserably. So the guy was part of the government. I was having a call with him, and he said, you can you show can you tell me why did it fail? I said, who's the influencer who's the person that you chose to drive the campaign? So he told me the name. I said, hang on, open the platform, and I showed him in the data of that person. And it turns out that lady had 89% male followers. So our
89% what? Sorry? Just to.
male followers, male, right? So only 11% of her followers were women, right?
Yeah.
89% were women. And now you're doing a woman empowerment campaign targeted at the woman, and then you're choosing an influencer or an actor or a celebrity whose majority, not even majority, practically most of the followers are men. So the campaign is not going to succeed. Okay.
Mhm.
So, I mean, obviously, you go to Instagram, it won't tell you that this person has X percentage male following or female following. Neither will the
No,
influencer.
sometimes you can only see what they follow, but only like a brief kind of limited view of who is following them. But that's as
I'll give
much
you
as
a
you're gonna
class.
get. Your
I'll
tool.
give you another classic example. A few years back, and that was one of the points which drove me to do launch BeTagged. So there was this travel influencer, very well known travel influencer, very good looking guy, who all his travel companies or um, tourism boards in the country would like invite to post up. So he would travel to across the world. They would give him flight tickets. They would give him hotel stays. They would pay him. He would just go in there, jump into the pool, take his shirt off, jump into the pool, post pictures. Fabulous. Great following, great engagement, right? And every post had like thousands and thousands of engagement. And everybody happy. Great stuff. Except that a year later, I met one of the owners of a resort which was using that influencer. And he said, this guy, we're really happy with him. It's been a fantastic journey with him. And he comes in here. Everybody in the resort loves him. And he's very professional and all of that stuff. I said, so great. You're going to make him a long-term influencer, like you to engage with him long-term. He says, no, I'm disconnecting because haven't had a single client coming into my resort who says, I saw this person's post in Instagram and that's why I'm here. Or any inquiry online, anywhere, nowhere. Not a single inquiry I've got via this. I've spent monies, I've spent good amount of dollars, doing the promotion through them because of influencer marketing, but I've got nothing in return. So I said, okay, hang on, let's check why that's happening. And when we went and checked, that influencer had almost all of his followers were girls between 18 and 21. Now, they are not going to spend $500 in a resort,
Yeah, girls between 18 and 21 are either, in college and then trying to work in part-time job. Yes. So like you said again, wrong audience for your product. And you're just wasting money.
Correct. From the outside, it may not seem like that. But
Yes.
when you dive into that, you will see that that's happening. Not only that, now the bigger problem is of fake followers.
It's very
Celebrities that
big
I've worked.
nowadays, isn't it? Fake followers, especially
I
now.
know of celebrities that I have worked very closely with who have increased their numbers from 8 million to 21 million, all based on bots and fake followers. But no, so people say 21 million, okay, I'll pay you so much, you've got 21 million followers. But the fact is, if you go back and dive deep into the data, you will know how many fake followers. So it's very important to know what sort of followers do you have. That is number one, which is whether you have real followers, whether you have influential followers, whether you have fake followers, or whether you have mass followers. So those are the kind of followers that you should know. And what is the base? Because when you engage with an influencer, you're expecting that the influencer will post and that post should reach their audience. The audience has a social media account, but their space is finite, right? I have my own Instagram. What I see there is a finite space. If I follow millions, hundreds of influencers or hundreds of people, then I will only see limited number of posts, right? Let's say I follow 100 people post at the same time. Will I see all the 100 posts? The answer is no. I will only see a few of them because Instagram will decide, the algorithm will decide which one should I see.
Yes.
So the audience reachability is another factor that nobody looks at. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I'm engaged with this influencer, but will the post actually reach the audience?
Yeah.
So there are multiple things that need to be looked at before you decide. And it's not as simple as saying, oh, get an influencer, let's just post and that's about it. No, it's way deeper.
There's so much more behind the scenes, like you say. So, like you just mentioned a very important point. Like, if, for example, I follow 100 people, am I going to see all of their posts? No, I will only see a few because of the algorithm. So, what are your steps, or how do you think you prefer, like the algorithm prefers you and your posts? How does that work? Is there any tactics there?
You should get some from Instagram. Maybe to answer that, but the fact is that you see more of what you see.
Mhm.
That's the not keeps changing, keeps changing. But as of now, let's say I check out your Instagram profile today. For the next 5 days, whatever post you see, okay, till the time I stop seeing your post. Like if your story appears and I ignore it and go to the next story, the algorithm will say, oh, he's not interested in anymore in this profile. So they will start showing this or that. What you see now is what you will see more in the coming days. Till the time you stop seeing that, and then another day.
Yeah. So you mentioned previously that television is dying and the future is digital and interactive. So what does this mean for how brands should connect with their customers now?
The brands have to have digital presence. The brands have to television is going to be limited to live news and sports. That's what is television is going to
Mhm.
be limited to.
Live
That's a
news and
television.
sport.
Yeah. Television and viewing on screen has two elements to it. One is appointment viewing, which is at this time at 1 p.m. I've got to watch. And that's where the ads will appear. Okay. As an advertiser, I mean ads at 1 p.m. because I know it's appointment viewing. If there's a live match, okay. If it's a match, let's say it's a World Cup final and it's at 1 p.m., then I'm going to watch it at 1 p.m. I'm not going to watch it at 4 p.m. I'm going to watch it at 1 p.m. If there is breaking
Mhm.
news, I'm going to watch it at that point in time. However, there is also one, viewing by my choice, which is there is a series that's coming. I don't have to necessarily see it at 1 p.m. I can see it at 9 p.m., 8 p.m., 11 p.m., whenever that I want to. Whether it's an OTT platform or television or whatever, I will see it at my convenience. I will watch it when I want to watch it. So that is the other part of it. So when I say television, I mean television in terms of television advertising. That is already dead except for live news and television, live news and sports. It's going to be limited to. So the brands who do not invest in that will need to be, need to be digital native. They will need to look at how they can digitally, socially connect with their audience via the various media that are available. Whether it's through influencers, whether it's through websites, whether it's through their own website, whether it is through all the chatter, all the conversations that are happening socially. There are various ways and means of doing that. Influencer marketing, which I work on, is a very, very small part of the entire. It's a very tiny part of it.
So you're developing a new commerce platform, which you briefly mentioned before, where the brands can pay influencers on when product sells. So would you mind going through this model for the audience, please?
Actually, don't want to disclose much on that because it's still under
Okay.
audience. But uh, I will just give you a piece of statistics, which is that a large percentage, if you go and ask a 16-year-old today what do they want to become, chances are that they'll say, I want to become an influencer. Because a lot of them are investing their time and energy in doing content and hoping that they would become like in the 70s and 80s, people wanted to become actors. Now they want to become influencers. The fact is that only about 9 to 10% of the influencers, 9 to 10% of the influencers have regular income from the brands, regular. Okay. Which means that they need to look at alternate sources of revenue. A lot of these influencers, by the time they hit 23, 24, realize that they're not making the kind of money that they were hoping to do, and they have no, because they have not invested in education, they have not invested in a career. There's nothing left for them except for doing this. So majority of the influencers do not have regular income from brands. The brands have no choice but to go through the influencers, right? If they have to promote their product, a large percentage of that is dependent on how they are able to work with the influencers. A large portion of a large number of big brands, let's say a small and medium enterprises or startups, or they don't have the budgets that they could pay upfront. They would pay the money upfront and then hope for the results to happen. Okay, a lot of them are saying, okay, if you bring me a customer, I'm willing to share the profit with you. I'm willing to share the revenues with you. Okay, bring me a customer. So let's say I'm the brand and come and say you're the influencer. I say, listen, I got this product. If you like this product, go and recommend it to your followers. If any one of your followers purchases, then I will give a share of the revenue to you. Simple as that. What does it cost a brand? Nothing. The brand comes and puts out their product and says, I am willing to pay the commission. Because if the brand was selling to the wholesaler, retailer, distributor network, they would be easily paying anything between 15 to 25%. They sell it through the influencer where there is no wholesaler, no retailer, no distributor. They're saving that 15 to 20% money. And if that part of that money, they get to the influencer gains, the brand gains, and it works really well, right? So, and for that matter, you could break that 20% that you're giving to the wholesaler and retailer distributor into a certain percentage for the influencer and a certain, discount for the user who's coming through that influence. So the user
Yeah.
gains, influencer gains, and the brand gets the same. And you pay nothing. You pay not just sold.
Yeah.
That way, the influencer also gets access to thousands and thousands of products and decides which one my followers would love or would probably like to
Yeah, because
buy.
it also aligns with who they are and posting themselves on LinkedIn. Because that's also very important because I see this all the time. an influencer, and let's say they're in fitness, and suddenly they're promoting something, like usually they go proteins or healthcare, like what you look like, skincare. But sometimes they just promote something that's so out of what they do. It's hectic. And I
What
think
it
we need
happens
to be more aligned.
so let's say the brand is not in touch with the agency and the agency is given 30 influencers. And suddenly, a day before the campaign has to break, the agency gets to know that 5 influencers have decided not to do it. Then they look for
Wow.
they give those 5 influencers, and those 5 influencers, because they're doing last minute, right? It's panic. They're doing last minute. Those 5 influencers may not have nothing to do with the product. Their audiences may absolutely not be interested in that product. But
Yeah. So you mentioned that technology brings convenience, efficiency, and transparency. So in regarding to AI and this current trend, how are you applying it to your business right now? What do you think is important to pay attention to in
so
currently in your agency?
yeah, let me tell you about what is transparency. An influencer, a brand gets in touch with the influencer and saying, "Listen, can you promote the product for me? And if you, like I just said, if your followers buy the product, I will pay you commission." So it has happened in the past. The investors ran a personal influencer. The influencer said, "Yes, we'll do it." The influencer took the product, promoted, and the influencer saw 250 click-throughs happening on their on their on their dashboard, on their insights dashboard. So the influencer is saying, "Sam, we're making a good amount of money. Just 250 clicks have happened, and there must be a good number of people who bought it." So at the end of the
Mhm.
month, he goes to the brand and he says, "Okay, tell me how much did I need?" Says only 1% bought the product. The influencer said, "That's not possible. I have 250 people doing click-throughs." The brand said, "There's just one." So the influencer says, "I don't trust you.
Mm.
You're not the right piece of information." So there has to be technology should bring in a bit of transparency by making sure that whatever is happening is absolutely right there. So the influencer can see it on his dashboard, see it in his dashboard, and it's not run by the brand, it's run by a third party. And the third party's interest should both be in what the brand is earning and what the influencer is earning. Because if these
Mhm.
two guys don't earn, then the third party does not earn, right? So
Yeah,
that is
of course.
how technology should bring in transparency. What is convenience? Convenience is that, I want to listen to a product and I want to reach out to 30,000 influencers. How do I do it?
Mm.
Technology did form which makes me convenient for me to just click and 30,000 people see it. And what is efficiency? That I figure out whether this particular choice that I'm making is the best choice or not. I may choose the ninth best or the 10th best. That is not efficiency. When I choose the top most and the second and the third is where efficiency comes. So technology should be convenience, which is ease of doing business, ease of getting my job done, which is what, let's say, when you look at chat GPT, what does it do? You want to phrase a paragraph or you want to write something, you just type it in saying, and then it will give you the right thing. It's convenience. You're not going to a script, right? It's giving you efficiency. So technology brings in convenience, brings in efficiency, because there is data. Convenience because you've created a platform which makes it convenient.
Mm.
Efficiency because you're looking at data, and you are analyzing data at a very rapid to bring in the efficiency and then transparency. Whatever is there out there, you can see it. Nobody is giving you numbers which are false. It's all out there transparent.
So, in regards to how do you bring in clients? How do you connect with these businesses? Because that's really who your client is, your business, and then you connect them to these influencers. So, what has worked for you in your agency?
So far, we've tried lot of options. The traditional, hiring of salespeople,
Hmm.
outreaches via LinkedIn, outreaches via various other methods. But then I
Hmm.
realized that at each stage there were different clients were at the different stages, and the fact that for a lot of clients it did require you to go out and actually tell them that, listen, you got to look at this. You can't just do influencer marketing based on what you're doing right now. So we had a lot of education that needed to be done. That's
Hmm.
why we had at a C level the senior level, we had people going out and meeting clients. So even now, it's driven by the senior guys in the company who actually go and who are engaging with the owners or the founders or the CEOs or the CMOs and telling them this is
Mhm.
what, and that's how it filters.
I'm curious, how do they get on conversations with the founder, people that matter on the company? Because a lot of the time it's difficult, right, to get to that kind of hierarchy level. So what do you think is working right now? Mhm.
Just follow for us. And then they go and recommend to other people, and that's how it will. It's not, it's not, like I said, it's not efficient, but it's something that we're working
Mhm.
on constantly. Our work speaks for it, and people who work with us speak for us. They recommend us.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
We also, for example, when you look at the product, you also kind of so it is not, the platform, any tool is doesn't suffice. You need to have, you need to know how to use it, right? I may gift you a Lamborghini today, but if you don't know how to drive it, you will crash. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's important that it's not just in the data, how you analyze the data. AI will give you, you know, a lot of things processed, but at the end of the day, there is also the human intelligence which is required. It'll never be 100%. I believe if you want to be, if you want to be average and do good and all of that stuff, you can depend 100% on AI. But if you want to succeed, like at the top level, there has to be a some amount of human intelligence because
Mhm.
AI is a leveler, right? AI is available to everyone. It's available to you. It's available. The same AI is going to be available to you as well as to me. How can
Mhm.
I be different from you? It will be different based on the human intelligence. How much intelligence you have to process what AI has told you, and how much do I have based on what AI has told me, is what will determine whether I win.
Shamik, lastly, I want to ask you, what is the plan for BeTagged in the next 12 months? Where do you see your agency? What is the goal, the dream?
See, we're very clear that we want to do everything else will follow. We haven't we just raised back in 2019 a very small sum of money as a seed capital. For the rest of the time, it's all been bootstrapped, and we have not raised funds. Look, and we are not looking to do that in the next 1 year. We're looking to do excellent work which moves the needle for the client, which impacts the client significantly, and then else will follow on it. So that's what we are to do. Like I said, next 1 year, some very very impactful category, campaigns that category wise campaigns that you would see would make a lot of difference. Whether we're doing that already. We started working on the commerce rate, launching the platform that we made. That's something that
Of
we are.
course.
So yeah, going to be a very exciting but it's a very hectic on 12 months.
Of course. Yeah. So if you had a magic wand to fix one thing in the business that is slowing you down from achieving that goal of getting to more clients and more businesses, getting more impactful work done, what would you say it would be?
There's only one answer to that. If you ask any company, any founder, any CEO, and the answer will be more business. That's it. There's no other way. If somebody gives you any other answer, it's not true. The only thing that will need is more business. The more business you get, the more you will be able to expand your own company,
Mhm.
deliver more and make more revenues, make more money. That's
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to add to that, I have had founders say before they want growth, they want more business, but they don't want too much business because that's when it gets out of control and it's not as easily manageable as before. But with growth comes problems as well, I suppose, that you also need to solve.
I think it's a good problem to have. And if you're not able to solve
Mhm.
force years to but one client be able to serve 20. Maybe not, but can I serve the 20 in the next 5 months? Maybe if I can't do that, then I have no reason to be in this business. Then I should just say, okay, I just give me 4 or 5 trends and I'll say the way I am. I'm not looking at growth. If you're looking at growth, substantially scale your business, not just in terms of getting the revenue, but also in terms of deliveries. And for people who say that too much business can be a problem, the answer is not too much business. The answer is how, in what time period you did that business. If you're not able to expand your own delivery mechanism, then you should not be in that business, is what my belief is.
Shamik, thank you so much for joining on this podcast and sharing your experience. If people were interested to get in touch with you, connect with you, find out more, where could they find you?
My email, which is and my LinkedIn.
Right?
So my email is
Yeah.
Shamik, SHAMIK, at BeTagged.co.
Mhm.
So I always respond to emails. And also you can find me on LinkedIn, Shamik Talukder.
Is there also a website that people can direct towards?
Yes, there is www.betagged.
Okay, awesome. Great. Thank you so much for your time today, Shamik.
Pleasure. And thank you for having me.